Yes, people. Yes, welcome back to BBK Sports. It is Tuesday morning, a blessed Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, all over the world, wherever y'all watch from. Zed, big up to every single one of you. Yes, people. It's day two of the second iteration of the transfer window, and still no news. The FIFA World Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup has kicked off, and the stories seem to be everything other than the football. Lots going on around the world in the world of football, except for the actual football. The attendance yesterday of the Chelsea versus LAFC game was big talking points on Sky today because the attendance was just god awful. Stadium was empty in the Mercedes-Benz, formerly called the Georgia Dome, was empty. Couple of factors. I took a dig at the Chelsea fans yesterday still, because the Chelsea fans, they think I'm being cheeky when I tell them that they don't have a fan base like that, right? Because I've seen Manchester United and Liverpool sell out preseason games, meaningless preseason games, and dead rubber games all over the place all the time. So I took a cheeky dig at the Chelsea fans yesterday, but that was a part of it. Well, a bigger part of it was 3:00. You put on a game at 3:00. Like, I wish they would have consultants, the people who actually know the game and know the pulse of the people and the pulse of the sport, to advise them on some of these issues. You don't put on a game at 3:00 with a London club without a massive fan base like that, and then it's a LA team, and you play it on the East Coast at 3:00 in Atlanta. Now, part of why they probably put it on at 3:00 is that the Atlanta traffic at 4 or 5 in the evening, they don't have a great metro system, public system, trans, underground, none of that. It's all buses and cars. Everyone in Atlanta, Georgia has cars. So 85, 285, 485, it's ridiculous traffic. But it was an eyesore. It was an absolute eyesore to look at. 70,000 seat capacity. Less than 20,000 people in there, if that. It was a mad. So it's a combination of the fans from LA aren't traveling to Atlanta to watch LAFC play. They're not. LAFC have no star power. Their biggest star is Giroud. If Zlatan was there, maybe, but they will wait till some of the games come to the West Coast. Most of the games are at the West Coast anyway. I think even the Inter game tonight is played at the Rose Bowl. That one will actually have good attendance, because you saw good attendance at the weekend for the PSG Atletico Madrid game. But it was definitely an eyesore. It's all over Sky Sports. We've contacted FIFA for comment. They haven't responded. They're not going to respond to it. They'll just, move on to the next game and hope this story goes away. But yeah, traffic, time of day, the two teams involved, the location from one coast to the next coast. It was an absolute madness. It was an eyesore, at least. But big up to all 12 of y'all watching. Numbers keep going up. Make sure you hit the like as you pop in and out the stream, people. I am glad and honored to have you. So, let me jump into some of these comments before I get into my talking points for the day. I see the Waffle Don, my brother, my streaming partner in crime, the Waffle Don. Big up to you, bro. Hope everything is good. I think you're doing a watch along today, so I'll refer all watch alongs for the FIFA Club World Cup to Abs from Waffle.tv, getting bigged up by Alvin. Mr. Robo! Mr. Robo's in the building, people. Like and subscribe, people. Garnacho is signing for Arsenal. If we dare. At least I'll end the season early. If we do that, I'll check out the season early. Yeah, I'll check out the season early, and it's a matter of nope, wasn't participating this year, wasn't interested at all. Bluebird bigging up, man, like the Robo returning a favor, and then Mr. Robo says there are news: William Stabarka and Partey is leaving. Yeah, William Stabarka. I don't think we were ever in for Williams. I'm not even sure I'm sold on Nico Williams, to be fair. I'm not, maybe it's because of that recent performance he put in against Manchester United, asking for them type of money. That their performance at Atletico Bilbao at home in a Europa semi-final, and he was asked absolute ass. I think you can count on one hand how many ass performances, if you can even count how many ass performances Lamine Yamal has had this season. But that Nico Williams, he's had quite a few. Big up to men like AJ, hardest working mod. Big up to you, bro. Tell us if you're good. Make sure you know it. Make sure you let us know if you are good. Please like the stream. If you have not already, it really helps me out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You heard the man. Big up to men like Gary. You're still on these West Coast, man. I hope you're enjoying our type of summer. This is our type of summer, It gets, most of the houses don't have AC because this is as hot as it gets, and everyone is outside enjoying. Then it gets cold at night. Kind of reminds me of Europe. Some dappings going on. Yep. All right, you got room for me, bro. Come on down, man. Shoot me a message. I'm still on crutches, hobbling around, but shoot me a message if you're still around. And I'll let you know where you can enjoy the best of the Pacific Northwest. Almost there, AJ. We are getting there. 5 likes. Okay, people, come on, hit the like as you pop in and out. Big up to the Waffle Don. Yep, man, doing it. I want to go. Thank you, brother. How's the ACL today? Better than yesterday. I accidentally banged into something. Yesterday I had to sit down, man. If it wasn't, I almost cried. If I didn't have someone else in the house with me, I probably would have screamed out. Well, very tender around the joints. Numb. I can feel the nerves trying to regenerate. Still can't put any pressure on it. Still can't do any of that stuff. But, it is what it is. But Mr. Robo touched on something earlier, people. I said, no news is good news. No news isn't good news. In some walks of life, right? In some walks of life, no news is good news. Like you go to the clinic, right? You have a rough weekend, a scary weekend. You had a slip up. And you go to the clinic and the doctor said, no news is good news. If we call you, something is wrong. That's no news is good news. If you are Arsenal Football Club and you are in a transfer market, no news is bad news. Because we know that Arsenal Football Club is not a football club of stealth. We don't move stealthy. We like our name out there. PR. It's the PR machine. We love PR. Arsenal does not like to move in silence. That's not what we do. So when there's no news, I'm inclined to believe there's no massive news. These reporters, these journalists, Fabrizio, Ben Jacobs, Ornstein, these men are full ITKs. Agents use these men to get their clients bigger deals, bigger pays. So they know who's contacting who's talking to who. And what irritates me is, Arteta comes out the day after, or I think his out process interview, and man is like, yeah, man, everything is done. We're talking to who we need to talk to 2 months ago. XYZ. Goosebumps. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I guarantee you, people, on deadline day is going to be another fiasco. Remember deadline day last year? Sterling fiasco. Because all we did in the transfer window was a luxury left back / center back and a defensive midfielder. And a panic buy on deadline day because the opportunity presented itself to sign Raheem the Dream Sterling. Nothing changed. Big up to man like Abs because he said, bro, Berta is on. He's Bert now. He's Bert. We're just going to call him Bert. I'm going to add to that. I'm jumping on that bandwagon. Like every week goes by, he loses a letter off his name. The next week, he's going to be Burr. By July 1st, he'll be B. And then he's just going to be not happy. It's like they don't understand the pulse of the fan base. They don't. A fan base that's been patient for 21 years, a fan base that's been trophyless for the past 5 years, watching everyone around us pick up trophies. You would think they would throw the fan base a lifeline, throw them a bone, give them some hope. Instead, you could just come out and spin more PR. Do they know that the fans of the football club, do they know that some of us are actual hustlers? They know that we aren't like multi-millionaires who can just do what we want. We work hard and we hustle at our jobs. We hustle in our businesses that we own. That you can't. You have to hustle. Sometimes you have to bullshit your way when you hustle. You can't bullshit a bullshit. So don't they think and don't they know that we can see some of this craziness coming from a mile away? One thing they can't do is come out and tell us to be patient. If they ever use that P word, they're very careful about how they package things, because they know they cannot tell this fan base to be any more patient. And that's like a slap in the face, telling the fan base to be more patient when we have been too patient, if you ask me. AJ bigging up abs every time. Godfrey, big up to Godfrey. Godfrey in the house, people. Big up as always in the legendary community. Big up to Godfrey, man. Godfrey, always a pleasure to have you. Them South African flags in the chat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is ridiculous. No party extension. What are we doing? And this should be the layup, right? This is a layup. This isn't a 3-point shot or a half-court shot. This is our player, right? We don't have to negotiate with anyone, any other team. He had the best season in our midfield. He was our best performing midfielder, Mr. Utility. The only time he had stinkers really is when you took him out of his position and played him at right back. And that's not his fault. We're not going to hold him to that because, bro, we know Partey don't have the legs to overlap. Play the man in this right position, and every time you did, you got the best of it. The entire fan base went into meltdown when he picked up that yellow card in the second leg of the Madrid game, because we know how important he was to our team. That's how good he was. What year was that? Was that 2021, 2022? We gave El Neni an extension. You remember that one? El Neni, you know. Man who played like less minutes than Ethan Wanyeri. That's thinking. Like, we gave him an extension. And we haggling on Partey. About to make him leave. So we're not improving in our midfield. If we let him and Jorginho go, now our depth just becomes Moreno. And Sambi Lokonga, really. The guy that hasn't kicked the ball for us for 2 years. There's a reason why he hasn't kicked the ball for us for 2 years. I was on McDonough Street over the weekend. I asked him, what do you think our best midfield is going into the season with our presumed signings of Zubimendi and or Sesko or Glockeres. And it's Odegaard, Rice, Zubimendi. So the only other midfielder we have in there is Moreno. Are we that naive to go into a season where we complained about injuries and lack of depth to further thin our squad, further deplete our squad into a season after we used that as an excuse for the season that we just made a complete meal of. Can't bullshit a bullshitter. They just keep trying to bullshit us all the time. Here we are all. Hey, LFC. See, these men are announcing medicals. We're announcing the second iteration of a training kit. We are all jealous of you, my brother. See, we are all jealous of you. We wish we could operate and move the way Liverpool is moving right now. Because you men are so good and so good at what we're bad at. And it's handling transfers. And I hope Berta is feeling some heat, you know. I hope the next time they put the camera on him at the Emirates, man, here's something. If we close the window with a meh. Why are you here, bro? Why are you here? Yeah, Gary, let me drop you one, man. Let me drop you one. Give me 1 second, people. Give me 1 second while I send this link to Mr. Don't waste the tweet. Don't waste the tweet, Gary. All right, Mr. Gary. Check your WhatsApp. All right. Where we at? Some dappings going on. So AJ saying Partey is going there. It seems as if he is. It seems as if Partey is on his way out, people. I mean, I'd love to see a U-turn on this. I'd absolutely love to. Because then what do? We're essentially just creating an excuse for next season, aren't we? And if that's what we're doing, it makes me worry that what was our intent? What was our intent the entire time? It's just to compete. It's just to do a Tottenham. Because do we really believe that Ange would have been sacked if they had finished 6th with no trophy, you know? 5th with no trophy, no? It would have been fine. The aim is just to compete. And if we happen to win something along the way, cool, so be it. This is ridiculous. No Partey extension. What are we doing? We are cooked, bro. We are absolute cooked. We are absolutely cooked. Let me stick over because make sure I didn't miss any questions or anything. Godfrey, I'm gutted. I really like Partey. Bro, he was our best midfielder. He's been our best midfielder for 2 years. You know, this is the past 2 Parteys is what we thought we were getting when we signed him in 2021, right? And part of it, I even admitted this yesterday. Like I believe his form last season was so good because part of it is because he was playing for a new contract. When players are playing for new contracts, they tend to move different, right? They tend to more disciplined with their diet, with their workout regimen. Because this contract will be Thomas Partey's last big one. And if he goes back to Spain, he'll play for a big club, but he won't be paid handsomely the way Arsenal pay the Liga clubs, unless you're Madrid or Barcelona. Specifically, Madrid, Barcelona don't really pay big wages for players that are that old. So either he goes to Saudi, stays at Arsenal for a big payday. But I want to keep Partey. I don't want him. No, bro. I do not want Partey to go. I want Partey to stay. I want Partey to be a part of our midfield, our Jorginho, our 4th choice or whatever, 4th, 5th choice. And in some games, you should start. In some games, Partey should start. But, that's what I think. I see most of the chat actually agrees. I don't know. We'll see what Mr. Gary says making his debut on VVK Sports. Gary!
Hey. Hello, sir.
Hey, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
What do you think of Partey, man? What do you think of Thomas, our number 5? What do you think? Should we keep him or bin him off?
Yeah, I know. As soon as I've said this multiple times, as soon as the season started and Rice still wasn't our number 6, sign him up. Like, you didn't have to wait till the end of the season. Like, Rice already proved that he wasn't going to be your 6 because Partey was your 6 to start the season and played. Not that he's going to do it again, but he did. Played more games than we expected. But at that point, you still don't have the answer for the future after Partey. And and they've shown that because Zubamendi's now coming in, right? So, and even Zubamendi coming in, it doesn't mean you just let go Partey like that.
Yeah.
When you're still got big questions to answer, like, can we win a trophy with the team we got? Not if our depth just keeps getting the depth is supposed to improve, not get worse every time you take one in, you bring one in, you take one out. It doesn't make any sense, right? Especially we know that position is crucial to our success, right? Partey looking good in the middle has shown that it's gonna we can get somewhere. We haven't got there yet, but we can get somewhere. But having him as a backup, and in the situations where maybe you want to go with a double pivot, right? So I think they should that deal should have been done already. I mean, I know one of the reasons why some people say there's an issue is there's all those rumors going on about off the field stuff, but I'm like, based on what I think I've seen from Arsenal, they probably wouldn't have taken that risk.
Yeah.
If they really thought there was anything to it. So I kind of feel like, what, they must have done their due diligence and until we find out something different, treat it like they have. They said he's one of our players, and he should have been gone on vacation already, known he's coming back.
Yeah, I hear it. Because for me, is if Partey stays, I think it increases our chances of winning one of the cups, right? Because now when you're a FA Cup game against a Premier League team, if Partey is your fourth, fifth center midfielder or choice midfielder, still a quality team. That's how Man City was able to win the Carabao 3 times in a row, right? When they had their big squad, because we would have to rotate our team, and then they would play their B team, which was essentially another Champions League spot if they started that 11 for their run in. So what I'm trying to do, Gary, I'm trying to eliminate all the excuses going into next season for this football club. Yeah, I don't want to hear the rotation. The signings got done too late. They didn't get a preseason, so they started. I'm trying to get all of that out the way. I want us to dot all our I's, cross all our T's. That way, it's just all on the pitch. But it seems as though that's not what we're about, man.
Before I follow up on that question, hello everybody in the chat. I see Godfrey saying hello, everybody. No, I hear you on that one. Until mid-July, once mid-July comes, let's see where we're at, because I feel like, we knew how big the Rice deal was the last 2 years ago, and he didn't get signed until mid-July. And right now, when we go on that trip to Asia, or I think it is late July, as people walk in, how they take the pictures of them walking up the steps. It's got to be, if whatever number of players we're bringing in, it's got to be at least 4 to 5 new players walking up those steps.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. That's what I expect if we're going to do what we want to do. So I'm going to hold on to the patience, right now, because outside of like Liverpool, everybody else has had a reason why they wanted to bring players in, right? Liverpool's the only team that's gone out there, and I feel like they didn't do anything last summer, and they did. I mean, I feel like we didn't do anything, but they definitely didn't do anything. And after winning, I think they can roll the dice now, and they've done that. All right, that's a large amount of money for a player that you typically don't see Liverpool put money towards. So they're really going all in right now. So. I don't think even if they hadn't won and they did this, Arsenal could keep up with that pace the way we've already spent our 100 mil. I don't think we can have every other year bringing in a 100 mil player. I think we're just not in. That's not how most teams work, right? I mean, you look at that Chelsea midfield. I think it was yesterday or today. Yeah, yesterday. They've got they've got at least 3 players there that are close to 100 mil in their midfield.
Yeah.
If they took one of those 100 mil and put it into a striker,
yeah.
They took one of that 100 mil and put it into a defender, they would be in a different situation. But, we don't have that money. And so it's a little bit it's hard for me to say we should do what other teams are doing, because some of them, there's 2 out there that can spend as much money as they want. And there's most teams that will manage it. And we seem to be we're going to manage it for the long term, hopefully. But yeah, like I said, I think I'm content to wait until the players start to come back from vacation, start the preseason, and then get on that plane to go out, perform. And that, I would like to see that kind of performance like we saw when Jesus came out in that first game he played. And we're like, all right, if that's what you bought him for, I want more of that. That's what I want to see. So Zubamendi comes out and does what we expect him to do. Cool. If our striker comes out, and hopefully it's a striker that we feel will start for us. Cool. If it's a left wing that we bring in, right? Because I think those are the 3 spots that right now are going to be our crucial spots. Zubamendi's got to hit the road running. Our striker, I believe, should have to hit the left wing as well. Those 3 spots right now I think are where our biggest holes are. I know some will say, whatever Erdogan is doing, Martin's doing, we need to fix that as well. But he's shown that he can produce. Will we get back there? I hope so. But I don't know. About that.
No, speaking of, you said something there about our signings don't typically get done until mid-July.
Yeah,
which is true. It's factually true. But there's one signing that got done in June 2 years ago. There's one he got very rapidly.
Yeah,
by Havertz. They wanted him. I know it sounds like I got an agenda.
Well, but there was but you remember there was a I don't agree with why they rushed that one, because I felt like they, you know what, that
Arteta
we always
wanted it.
talk,
That's
we always talk about, you know what, we need to be a little bit better in our management and our way we handle our transfer. If we had, say we had, I believe we should have waited that thing out a little bit and seen if we can get a better deal. I think they were rushing to do it because of a timetable that wasn't on us, right? Arsenal does things backwards, right? We're waiting until July to do our deal because whoever wants to wait until July because of the financial year. But we're rushing to get Kai Havertz because it affects the financial window of Chelsea, right? And I'm like, wait a second, you can't be doing both, right? You
opening
can't,
doors. We're pulling
you
out
know,
chairs. What are we
you
doing?
know, I know. So for me, I didn't agree with that at all. And if they didn't get him because you know what, they wanted to play hardball and they wanted to get their money, I bet they would have sold him. They wouldn't have got. I don't know who would have spent that money.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know who. I don't know who would have spent that money,
No,
and maybe we
no
get
one.
him for the cheaper rate, anyways. But I feel like that's the one where I don't agree with the way they handled that. I mean, if they're getting, they'll tell you, right, they're getting double-digit goals from him, so it was somewhat worth it. But I don't think the goals that we want are the ones that he's given us are the ones that we want, because Moreno just showed you it doesn't matter where you play on the pitch. If I put you up front, you're going to score if you're any kind of a footballer, right? So right then and there, that should wake up somebody's eyes. Hopefully, Berta is the guy going, let me, it doesn't matter who we put up top. They're going to get double-digit goals. That isn't the problem. The problem is when you play a Newcastle and Isak gets one attempt at goal and he scores, and then you get all possession, controlling the game, and you still can't get a draw out of it, at least. That's what you're looking for. That's the player you're looking for. And I think it's striker, but I'm okay if we were to get a left wing that can also do that, right? Pick one of the two. But one of those two players we put on that front line has to be that player that you go, damn it, we haven't done anything. We're down 2 goals. How are we going to get back into this thing? And that player stands up and says, "It's me. Let's go." Right? We don't have that player, and that's the problem. I don't think it's the 15 goals. It's those timely goals. How many? Like the one game where he had, I think Kai Havertz scored a goal, and then inside the box, I believe he chested the ball down and then booted it, missed. I forget which early in the season. I think it's the Brighton game. I think it was, but early in the season. So like his goals are going to come because of where he plays and who we are. But the goals that he's missing are the ones that are hurting us, because those are the ones that are not getting us that 2-goal lead to help us secure the 2 points or get us back into the game. Right. So that's what we're looking for. So I get everybody like, well, he gives us the goals, but I'm like, that's not the problem. The problem is that goal, right? When you look at a game and go, that goal right there secure the 2 point. That goal right there got us back into it, right? When you're up 2-0 against Aston Villa, and you start to feel like they're going to get back into the game, a player stands up and says, "Nope, we are back up. We're either up 3 or we're back up 2 when they score to respond." Right? We didn't have an answer for that. We just watched a 2-goal lead disappear. Right. That can't happen if you have the right players. I think it's timely goals as much as it is. Some people will say clinical goals, but I think it's standing up for the moment. Right? We get those moment goals. I think that's what we're missing. And I feel like that's where the Rodrigo comes in, and that's like an easy sell, all right, to get that. So I don't know. That's what I think we need. So if they have, and I think that's the whole talent ID thing.
Yeah. But speaking of what we need, LFC Monster, this is what we have. LFC Monster is asking, who had a better overall season, Rice or Partey?
When that question came up, who was our player of the year, I said Partey. Rice doesn't have the year he has if Partey's not playing behind him.
Right.
I mean, our team when we've looked really good over the Arteta's years, in the last 4 years or so, Partey's been in the middle of that thing. And Partey's been out struggling, not so much for me. And anyways, we saw that last year. If we could have stayed healthy in other parts of the field, different story. Partey, I believe, is key to that. Rice is a workhorse. He's going to get up and down the pitch and all of that. But Partey being behind him allows him to do that, right? Because think about it. Without Partey, Rice. We didn't even miss Erdogan, right?
Yeah.
He disappeared. I mean, he wasn't. He was injured, or when he was available, he wasn't able to give us what we needed. So it was like we're playing with only two in the midfield, and it didn't matter, right? We still looked all right. We still got through games. Nobody ran away from us, and I think for me that's Partey sitting in front of that back line, and Rice pushing it as he does. I think, and I believe this. If they had given Nweri those minutes in that Brighton game, different story for maybe how the season plays out. Because maybe we see somebody who actually can play that position a little bit differently, and maybe we get those goals or those attempts from it. So, but no, Partey for me, but I think was the player of the year for me. I know Rice will get it because of all the stuff that he does, but sometimes that engine that's keeping everything chugging along is the one that you kind of miss. When Partey's doing his job, you don't even notice him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but you don't even notice it when he's doing his job because everything else, the defense looks really solid, right? The midfield is moving up the pitch, no issues, right? Right,
Yeah,
Real Madrid, right? It's Partey and Rice doing their thing. Erdogan missing, we didn't miss him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's how I felt.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Partey, that Declan, in Europe, Declan had some fantastic performances. And the icing on the cake was his Real Madrid performance over both legs, actually.
Mhm.
But like you said there about Partey, what he does goes unnoticed, which is a good thing. It's kind of like your power company, right? Where
Yeah.
you get power from. If they're always at your house and you're always seeing them digging up power lines outside, they have messed up somewhere, right? If you really ever see them, they're doing their job. Everything is efficient. Everything is working perfectly. And that's what he does. He keeps us ticking. He's our most press-resistant CM. When he gets on the ball, when Saliba or Gabriel gives it to him, I'm calm. I'm calm when I see him drop his shoulder, fake, and pass the ball forward to break the lines. When Declan gets on it, when he has to turn on the half turn, I'm a little more nervous because his touch is not as clean as Partey's is.
I thought he would be able to pick up something from Partey by being playing with him for a couple of years now, because if at any point Arteta said, you know what, I'm going to need you to play 6, well, one thing you would do is what? Look at how Partey plays it, right? You're going to have to be on the half turn. You're going to have your head up, right? When you get that ball in the midfield, you got to be looking for the next pass. He doesn't do that. Thanks for the plug out there, AJ, and who was it? Yeah, thanks for doing that. But I just thought he would pick up some of those traits because that's what he needs. Because I always thought he was going to be the 6, but I don't know if I like him as the 8. But but that's where we are right now, and
So going into next season, you're pretty sure it will be Odegaard, Zubimendi, Rice as our starting midfield 3.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, you know what, and I think the reason why I think that's where we want to go is because Zubimendi is the future at that 6 for us, and Partey will be that backup. He'll always be there if we keep him and he's okay with his role. And he will get minutes.
Yeah,
right? I don't
know. Games. There will be games that he starts.
Yeah. No, he definitely has to start, and I don't mean just cup games is nice and all, but there might, for me, rotation might be the key. And if the rotation means that maybe Zubimendi's playing in the cup matches because Partey's just played in the last couple of league games, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have to switch because we don't lose anything, right? How many teams can say, "I will take out 1 6, I'll put another 6 in and go, I'm not losing anything, so I'm okay." Right?
Yeah,
we'll be able to do that. And it's been a while since we've been able to take one player out, put another one in, and go, no difference, right? No difference, right? What player can we do that with on this pitch? Maybe you know what? Maybe some of our fullbacks we can switch around, and we don't see a significant drop off, right?
Yeah.
Between the Rice, between the White, Timber, and Maslow Skelly, whichever combination of those 3 you use, we don't see a significant drop off, right? We see a different style of play, but drop off, no. So I kind of feel like that's probably the only place where we would be, okay with how we play, depending on regardless of who's in there from our core players. So yeah, no, I think Partey, that should have been signed already. He should have been already like, all right, well, you know what, season's over. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in a month or whatever. So
you think there's a drop off from Keparaya?
well, you know what? There's always going to be not too many people can have a Kelleher, right? Right. Yeah, I mean, and nobody, and we know that. I think City is when they've been able to bring in their backups hasn't seen a drop off either to some degree to get them through. But I think Kepa, the way he played last season, will be fine for us. We saw it. We played against him, right? And I think it's Bournemouth we played against. He didn't look that bad, right? And we didn't beat Bournemouth, if I recall. So, yeah, no, I think as a backup, he's fine. Is he going to start? A large percentage of the games? No, but that's not what we want. But I think he'll be a decent backup. We won't go into a game like when we put in Neto and go, what in the world is he doing? I don't think it's going to happen. So, I think we have a legitimate backup there. And Ray, I think towards the end of the season started to wear down anyways. And, if we had a decent backup, then we would have been rotating them throughout the season, and then we would save some of that because I think for him is more for me. I think it's a mental thing. Which kind of weird on him. But yeah, Kepa, I think for the money, you can't go wrong with that. That's like when we brought in Matty Ryan. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
He was a good. He didn't cost us anything. A legitimate starter in the league. The only reason why we couldn't keep him is because he wanted more. He wanted more. He wanted to start somewhere. Kepa seems to be happy coming in and helping us. I have a feeling that based on how things have gone, he maybe come in, play with us, and then want to leave as well to go start elsewhere. So one thing we can do is we can get goalkeepers jobs for the future.
Goalkeepers and left backs. Now, Gary, like I asked all the guests, that make that come on the channel. This is your debut. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot when I say I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So going into next season, right? Regardless of what window we have, right? What keeps him in a job for you?
No. What keeps him in the job for me? For Arteta, well, everybody's gonna say there's context to this thing. So for me, I've looked at I've kind of I created a little grid and I kind of gone through the natural progression, I think, of the team. And like going into this past season, one of the things I said was that we should win a trophy and whatever, and we should be able to compete on more fronts than we have before. We're now competing on 4 fronts, whether you think the Premier League was a competition or not. We sat second, which meant nobody could beat us, no matter how poor we were. Next year, we need to be able to compete on all 4 fronts. We definitely need to get a trophy. That would show me some progression, and I think we need to come closer to winning one of the 2 big trophies. So that's the context, but I definitely believe we need to get a trophy of some sort for him to keep his job. No trophy and
EFL Cup and so EFL Cup top 3 semifinal Champions League, no FA Cup. Does he stay?
If he gets a EFL Cup, yeah, for me he does stay. If we get, because I think at some point we need to. I think when Wenger had left, a lot of people said it's going to take us about 10 years to get back, and I kind of laughed at that. And we're sitting around that mark right now, and I think if based on the way what we've done. This is why we're here. If we had gone out and got a more seasoned veteran manager, I would say yes. But the team has decided they're going to go get an up and coming manager with no experience and build on that. And if they're going to do that, they need to back him. I don't feel like they've backed him enough because they've allowed him to assimilate his some of his assistants and whatnot. And I don't think they've given him the right answers to the questions that he should be asking. So to some degree, I feel like the management above him has let him down because they haven't looked out for him and the players that he needed. I think you bring in Ollie Watkins, even if it is costing you a lot of money. I think we might look a little different of this past season. So, for me, I can see a way where he's around, but he's got to be winning a trophy. I think if he doesn't, then I feel like I don't know how much more they can do for him. Right? Are we gonna are they gonna think about it? We're gonna hopefully improve to some degree 3 or 4 positions on the squad, right? We know we're gonna bring in. I believe we're gonna bring in a striker. We got Supermendy already. Maybe another attacker. and then hopefully three attackers in whole is what I would like to see. And then because get some more depth maybe in defense because of the left backs that are leaving and whatnot. I know that's not something I want to talk about, but I think we're gonna make sure we have some premium depth there. So for me, and then are we expecting us to have the same sort of level of injuries? I hope not. Hopefully, what we do get is everybody comes back ready to go. Like we saw, from what I saw, it looked like Havertz is somewhat back in terms of like the way he came back. Saka, I think, needs to rest and come back whenever he's ready. We can't rush him back. And then Jesus will just be, that's not even till January, and maybe that's when we try to sell him anyways. But I feel like, we have to come out with a trophy, compete on all four fronts for him to keep his job.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is, man. A Carabao is not enough for me. It would be enough for a new manager coming in. Like, for say, if Slot had came in last year with a new team, never managed in the Premier League and won the EFL Cup, fair. But if he does like a cup double, if he does a domestic cup double, I'll hear it. I'm good. Hey, you win a cup double, you are safe. Premier League, Champions League, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But the Carabao in this deep into your process, I'm not sure that's enough for me. I think,
and I'll say this to you, like I said to everybody else. Tell me what manager in their first 5 years has the expectations that you have of Arteta. Like, what manager in their first 5 years outside of Pep, and Pep had Messi on that team, is coming up has the expectations that you have and many fans have for a manager like Arteta? This is just going to be a 6 years or whatever.
Do you think Fergie is a better manager than Pep?
Fergie, but which Fergie are you talking about? The first 5 years of his career, or the ones
once he started winning Premier Leagues? Once Fergie started winning Premier Leagues,
I think. I think that they work. They you know what? They work two different ways. There's two different ways to skin a cat. They say, right? And I think Ferguson won one way, and I think Pep wins a totally different way. All right, and I think the areas that you're talking about are so different that can we compare them?
But what I say, this is what I'll say to it.
Yeah.
Fergie sits at the GOAT table of managers. At the GOAT table.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying.
And that does as well. But what I'm saying is, Wenger did a cup double, a league double, right? A league and a cup in his first 2 years on the job. So when Arteta gets 5 and doesn't deliver any, problem.
But you're saying 2 years. You're saying 2 years in the Premier League, but in reality, you're talking about somebody who's got double digits of experience coming in to the Premier League. So, like for me, I always go back to we're comparing apples to oranges. In the first 2 years of Wenger's career, was he winning trophies? I don't know about that. Within the first 2 years of Ferguson's career, was he winning trophies? I'm not sure about that. Or was he in one of the what some would consider the most competitive league out there, right? No, in my eyes, no. So that's kind of how I look at it, and for me, that's where I can step back and go, I don't. I wish we would go moving fast, and that's why I didn't want Arteta because of this reason, because he's not ready. This is like asking Saka to come in his first 2 years, play left wing, and perform at the level he's playing at now. Those are expectations we just don't put on our youngsters, but on a young manager we do. And and yes, he took this job. Yeah, he took this job, but the expectations are a little bit different when you bring it. Like if you bring in a seasoned veteran manager, right? You're expecting results ASAP, and that's where you're getting those results in the first 2 to 5 years of their career in the Premier League, because they're coming in with they have a CV, and they have a laundry list of accolades, right? Like Slot didn't come in with nothing, right? He competed well where he came from, right? I believe he had won leagues there, competed, for a bit. And they didn't have to make any changes because they had a solid team and it worked out. Everything played out for them. So that's kind of that's where the comparisons for me. I can't compare what Ferguson did in the Premier League and what Wenger did in the Premier League with Arteta in his first years, because we're talking a lot of those managers had at least double the amount of experience coming in. Because that's what I feel like we get out coached, because our manager is he hasn't matured yet as a manager. So then my expectations can't be the same as what I've seen from others. And that's why, like I said, that's where somebody needs to help him, Like ownership needs to help him. Like if he needs something, they need to get it. At some point, if they don't feel he can do it for them, they got to let him go.
But Gary,
regardless,
here's the thing. All that valid. He shouldn't. The underlying point you're making, he shouldn't have been in the job anyway because he's an inexperienced manager. But the situation at hand, that he is the third, now the fourth highest paid manager in the world. So if he's inexperienced and he needs all this help, you don't get to make that money. I'm sorry, I'm not pocket watching or anything, but if you're gonna be paid top money of the managers who win, then I don't want to hear any excuses about you are not experienced and you're not this and you're not that, because the managers in the Premier League, Eddie Howe, Oliver Glasner, and Slot, Arteta's salary is more than all of them combined. So they're paying him for something, and we are the stakeholders of this football club. The fans are, right? Because you put those guys on Saturday, Sunday to play in front of an empty stadium, they're not enjoying their football, right? But you put 60,000 of us in there to watch you compete, only to not win. We're not happy. The happy medium is we come support the players, the coach, the managers, the staff, and they give us something to support. But right now, we are demanding that you win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I just can't hear 5 years in, EFL Cup keeps you. You know, I think we have to put more demands on him based on how he's being protected, how he's being paid, and how he's being portrayed as a top manager in this league.
Yeah.
You know.
No. When you just put that little, if you put on the contract, yes, and that's where I said like the ownership isn't looking out for him because they've now put a target on his back. The expectations is that we're going to pay you top money. For what reason? I have no clue why they would have wanted to pay him that much.
Yeah,
like the same reason why when Arteta said I didn't want to come to the, like, think about this. The man actually said I don't want to come to Arsenal because I need to get some experience, right? And Arteta and Arsenal said, all right, cool. Went out and got the most experience. At that point, outside of the big players, Unai Emery, who in the European League Cups, in the European Cups, really good, right? The teams show up. They went and got him, and then they didn't back him, so they didn't really want him. So this is where a lot of our pain is with the ownership, not with Arteta. He just happens to be the point man sitting in front of all of this. He's essentially taken all the bullets for all of the bad decisions, from those above him. And so, can we get rid of the ownership? I don't think so.
No,
but that's what needs to happen because that's who's actually creating this problem. Because, like you said, is he worth that money? No. Like, was Kai Havertz worth that money? No. Was Aubameyang worth that money if you're not going to back him? No. I mean, right? They gave Aubameyang a contract and then basically said, all those things that you did for us, they don't work for us anymore. And that's what I saw.
Yeah.
And then you created a conflict with your top player. Next thing you know, a couple years later, he's gone. And I think for me, that's kind of bad management from the top down. Like if you don't put that money in a player and go, you know what, we're not gonna create an environment where you're gonna strive, right? And that's what I think they did. That's what they did. That's how I saw that piece. So that's for me. It's a lot of the. It's more of the ownership issues doing this right now than it is Arteta, but he's going to take all the bullets because that's what he does, and that's what managers do for Arsenal. They all seem to do that in one way or another. Wenger took it when he had to overachieve, and that's the problem right now with Arteta. He doesn't overachieve with what he's got, right? Like he needs to overachieve, and every manager that's done anything overachieves. And I don't like if you have top players, cool, but then what about those other players at the end of the bench? Those other players that aren't the top players in the world. You got to overachieve with them, and we're not doing that, right? Because those are the difference between actually the big wins that we need, and what's going on, right? We should be able to lean on players, and we don't, because just the way it is a lot of things. But I feel like they set him up. All right, the ownership with that contract set him up. Now we're expecting him to be what they think he is, and he's not. Yeah.
Welcome to Waffle TV. Waffle TV.
Yeah.
There you go, bro.
What's good, man?
How you doing? Big up, man. Glad to have you on, man. Big up to you, bro. Bro, do you feel like City and Liverpool are pulling away from us in the transfer window? Like the gap that was already there. Do you feel like it's? I feel that way.
Well, City are an anomaly in what they do anyway. So I don't want to be compared to a City because City are levels above us right now. They've been a level above us for the past 5-6 years. Liverpool, they're a better team than us. Let's be real. You know, they hardly spent any money last season. You know, they won the Premier League. We've come second 3 years in a row. All that matters in those 4 years is that trophy, that Premier League trophy. Now, they've gone out and spent 100 mil on what's his name? Works. Kirkes looks like he's gonna be
he's going there.
Coming in soon. Yep. The funny thing is as well, all these players are saying they want Liverpool as well. Frimpong's done, we know that. And there's still gonna be space, I'm hearing, for a striker as well. So I can see Liverpool doing all their business before we've even got one player over the line. And I said to you that I'm going to leave it till Friday from last week. Next Friday, 3 more days. Is it 3 more days to Friday? Yeah, 3 more days to Friday. And I'm going to start to call this guy Bert.
Bert,
because okay, the window's just opened up again. It's Monday. Sorry, it's Tuesday now. Maybe it takes a couple of 2-3 days. Look at me. I'm already giving my club, our club, excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm not giving Liverpool excuses. I'm not giving Man City excuses for their business. Oh, their business was because they wanted to bring players in for the Club World Cup. Well, we need to bring players in because we need to be ahead of the pack next season. We need to start showing some fear. What Man City ain't looking behind their back right now. They got Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
It's like Liverpool, they are confused a star. That's what he's looking at. Liverpool are like Man City, okay, they're looking all right. You know, they're buying a few players. Arsenal, do you know what? Same old Arsenal. I'm hearing DWTT's point about next month and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to be going mad before that. There's no way I can wait another month, and not see one side signing. Not see one Arsenal's, not see one signing. Because between that time, other teams are going to be looking at the same players that we're looking at, especially Chelsea, because Chelsea love to tap us up. They love to go after our targets. And by the time we go after our targets, the teams already have been putting on personal terms already, and we're just going to be left with the likes of the Ashley Watkins. You know, we're just going to be left with players that we don't really want to come to the club. Now, Watkins isn't a bad player. He's a decent player. But is he going to be someone that's going to help us to get where we're going? Him, Zubimendi, I don't know who the left winger is going to be. Is that going to make our team complete? You know, we've also got players that need to get out of the door as well and stuff like that. There's too much going on. And I don't understand what our club are doing right now. It just seems really just everyone's lost. Everyone's lost right now. We don't know what's going on. You know, everyone's on Google, Arsenal transfer news, you know, Arsenal rumours. Everyone's doing the search thing on Google. You know, Google's making their money off us all right now. There's nothing. Twitter, the same old people chatting rubbish. There's nothing. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating for all of us.
Yeah, I feel like City and Liverpool are looking past us. I don't even think they're looking at Arsenal seriously.
Yeah. You know, like you're in the room, innit? You know, like you're in the room, yeah, and like Arsenal is standing there, yeah, but you can see straight through a minute, and you can see the next person in it. It's like I can't even see you. How you doing, bro? How you doing, bro? You right?
Yeah, it's another City pool, right? Because that's the. I don't see Liverpool, Chelsea, even Man United. I don't see any of those teams that would finish second 3 times in a row and be moving this way. Right? Liverpool have signed the most expensive Premier League player possibly ever, and they made it look easy. While we haggle over simple signings of players that people don't even know about. Like we dragged Calafiori and Moreno out forever, like mid-July, like Gary said. We drag things out. Like if we imagine us trying to pull off this first deal, we would make a complete mess of it and then use the excuse of, well, it's a big name player. Everyone in the world is out for him. Real Madrid want him. That player want him. Zubimendi was announced in January. He's still not here. You know, it's like we're struggling to re-sign our own player in Partey. That's why they don't take us seriously, bro. If Man City can sign all those players in January, and then they've already signed 4 or 5 players, and let's do some Arsenal PR for them. They're getting a new signing in Rodri, Ballon d'Or man.
This guy, once he comes back, yeah, he's going to be serious. People think, he's going to take his time, but
yeah. So we don't like this year is as good as time as any. We don't have the luxury of time last year, let alone this year, to be waiting till mid-July to get our signings in. We don't, especially when the manager told us in his outbrief that things was already done, X, Y, Z, and I got goosebumps. I want to get those.
Can I make a point, please? Can I just make a quick point?
Go on, man. Show is yours, bro.
It's a point that Gary made earlier, that looking at the owners and, you know, they're like, you know, obviously they employed Arteta in it, but also as well, yeah, when you look at the owners, yeah, they weren't to know that this manager would be happy with just bringing in a Havertz who's not even a striker. They weren't to know that this manager, you know, talent ID was as poor as it was. They just saw a manager that can come in, hopefully win something, rely on an Edu type agent, because obviously he played for the club. But the worst thing about that, when you look at it, Arteta, as a manager, he played for like PSG. He played with the likes of Ronaldinho and, you know, these big players. And his stubbornness and his, you know, his ways of trying to copy Pep, still to this day, I want a big striker. So he wants a big striker. It's almost like the manager's he's just gone left. He's just gone a different route. Yeah. It's this narcissism about him that I just don't like. You know, if the fans want this, I don't want that. You know, I don't want that, but the fans, you know, it's all, if I want this, but the fans don't want that. It's so glaringly obvious, yeah, that we need a striker. It doesn't matter whether, all right, at this moment in time, Gyökeres, Sesko, whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just say they're both number 9s, yeah? They're both strikers. What are you haggling over right now? What do you want? Like a £25 million off fee or something like that? Yeah. These teams are not gonna drop, yeah, their prices, yeah. So what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do?
Yeah. No,
and this is what we bought him for. This is what we bought Bert in for.
Yeah. So it seems like Bert has come, and it's like it's more of the same, right? But it's beyond frustrating.
Is it more of the same, or is it? Or we'll think about this. When we typically went out for players, did we look at 2 sets of players and like be able to at a still position pick between the 2? We haven't done that, and we never did that under Edu. When we were looking at Rice, we weren't looking at another number 6 to go out. Now we're looking at a striker. We actually have two on the two out there that are still available, and we're picking between the two. Now I'm with you on like let's just get it done, but you know what? They still have two they're going to pick through, and supposedly this is the way Berta works. We don't hear much from him, but we do see the actions, and I can only go by the actions that I've seen so far from him, and I know he does things a little bit different than Edu, and I think long term, like, are we going to see a fix immediately? I kind of feel like we're asking a lot to be fixed in just a short amount of time with everything else that the way this team has been run. When you bring in someone like a Berta, I think you might not see all of it this window, but I have a feeling by next summer you'll see it if they allow him to do his job, So if we get like Abs just said, if we get one of them, he doesn't care, right? So what difference does it matter if we get him today or we get him in a couple of weeks, right? It won't matter, right? Because as long as we got our guy before, and I think for me, when these players start coming back, that's when we need to be having our players, the new players coming in as well. They need to be coming in, getting acclimated to the squad and to the training facility and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, when we get on that plane, that's when I want to see all those guys as well. That's when I think the stuff hits the fan kind of thing. We need to be making moves. Well, we need to be. I've already made the moves. So I kind of felt like we have seen things from Berta. I think this is what you see, I believe, from good people when they come in. You'll see in little changes. Eventually, everything will look totally different. Will it look that way immediately? Probably not. Right? Probably not. But I think, like we saw this, like you look at Liverpool, they didn't change a lot. They didn't bring in new players, but they did change the way they played to some degree. Some of the things that they were doing, they changed, and you saw that throughout the season. All right. I mean, one of the things that
don't mean to cut you. I love what you just said there, right? Liverpool, they didn't change much, right? What was the biggest change at Liverpool, though?
The manager.
Yeah. That's why I love this comment right here from BX Gunner. Say our players are crying out for some new direction and leadership, fresh ideas and tactics. I think Arteta has gone stale. I honestly believe that he's
I don't agree with a lot of his tactics and stuff like that.
A dangerous game.
Because I think about it, we're all sitting there. We're like, all right, what do you see from Nweri that you don't feel like he can give you something when you bring him on the pitch? Right, that you won't play. Like maybe if you, for me, I felt like we wasted a lot of his minutes, and that's why we didn't play much towards the end of the season. But if you need a goal, if you need somebody to create something, the only player we have on the bench consistently that will give us that is Nweri right now. And it's terrible that we have it. The only player that we have on our bench is a 17-turn 18-year-old that can give us something, and that's on Edu, Arteta, the board, everybody. We should have been deeper than that, right? But when it comes down to it, and you do need that, you need to make that call, bring him on. 5 minutes isn't working. He needs more minutes, right? So, and that's. Yeah, I will definitely agree with the way Arteta manages the squad sometimes in games. It's not going to get him what he wants. And that's where at some point, for me, the ownership will have to make that decision. Is he going forward, is this guy going to give it for us? Right now, they keep saying yes. And I'm going, is he? At some point, you're going to have to say, no, he's not getting, no matter what we give him. Because he's going to, like I said, he has to overachieve with whatever he gets. He has to overachieve with whatever he gets.
Yeah,
I think we've wasted many an opportunity with what we've had given to us over the last 3 years, not to see us cross the line.
Yeah. Sorry. Can I just? There's a comment by Aaron. Yeah, there's a comment by Aaron which I was actually about to actually make. Yeah, about the point of it does matter.
This one.
No. There's one about the strikers, about the two strikers that Gary made about. Does it really matter if a striker comes in like now or in a couple of weeks? It definitely does matter, because in a couple of weeks, two of those options that we're looking at, and I've mentioned it already earlier in the stream, that they may have other clubs that they're interested in. They may have other clubs that, that their heads turned. And then those targets might not be available. Also, a couple of weeks' time, we could be looking at a Rodrigo, a midfielder, a Eze or something, once we've got our striker in. Because when you bring players in, other players look and they see, wow, okay, Arsenal have brought this player in. They're looking like a great prospect now. But if we just dibble dabble, take our time, leave it a couple of weeks, leave it a month, then we're just making it really tight for ourselves to just get the players that we need. And this is the part about it. It's so frustrating with this team right now. And I hear the Berta likes to do the 2 players and all this kind of nonsense, but sorry, yeah. If we're not getting those 2 strikers now, why aren't we looking at a midfielder? Why aren't we looking at a winger? Why am I not seeing any of these links to anything right?
Yeah, I think it does matter getting in the players earlier. Like the domino effect is what you're alluding to. Yeah, because if the football world see us sign Rodrigo, the football world knows who Rodrigo is. You know what I mean? If the football world see us go put 150 down for Isak, won't happen. Hypothetically, I'm speaking here. The football world knows who Isak is. But when the football world doesn't see a striker going to Arsenal, man is like, I don't want to play with Kai Havertz, bro. The football world knows that Kai Havertz isn't it. They know this, but they know that Arteta loves him. And the fact that, now, Gary, what do you think of the story over the weekend when Gyökeres comes out and said he wants Arsenal? Like, I want to come there. Do you think that complicates things? Because now we all know we need a striker. We have a striker who scored 50 goals last year saying, hey, I want to come there. Your move, Arsenal.
Do you believe that report that he said he wants to come? So you believe all the reports that? So you
that's what Fabrizio.
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't that what Fabrizio?
When we believe the Bombers, and when we believe Fabrizio when he said something that we like, or something that we agree with, but I'm inclined to believe when he says, and the agent and this guy says, because these players and these agents use the media all the time to get bigger contracts for their players. I get it, but when a striker that the fan base would be crying out for says, hey, I want to come to your club. I want to come score some goals for you because that's what you need. I want to be the guy that turns 6 or 8 of those 14 draws that you have into wins and challenge Liverpool and challenge Man City. I want to be there.
So you're not just to make sure. So you're not concerned that Zubimendi hasn't signed, right?
I am.
Well, then how can you believe Fabrizio then? Because he said, "Here we go," weeks before the latest things come out with Ornstein and like that. So like, it's hard
journalists. It doesn't need to be a whole. It just needs
so
to be
if you believe Fabrizio, sorry,
it just needs to be some truth. It doesn't have to be the whole truth because they give themselves wiggle room, plausible deniability to be able to pivot if they get this story wrong. They can say my sources told me, blah 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 XYZ, and they'll never give up their sources. I get it. But when one of the top strikers in the world or the most sought after prospects in the world say, I want you, because we never saw Florian Wirtz come out and say, I want Liverpool, or no one reported say, I only want to go to Liverpool. But somehow
I heard he turned down a lot of offers from other teams and said he wanted Liverpool. So I don't know, I don't know who said that, but I believe there were reports out there that said that.
Right. So
that he kind of whittled it down to the team that he wanted, right?
Right.
Now, yeah. So that is out there. I like I said, and the reason why I said it doesn't matter when the striker comes, as long as he comes in, is because it may take that much time, and it's not saying that I'll want to wait, and then all of a sudden one of the strikers decides to go, and Arsenal just goes, oh, we got to wait. At some point they're going to have to pull the trigger, as they say, and just go ahead and get the player, because they're talking right now, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue to make the decision. I don't know. If they're waiting for, like I said, that July 1st date, and that's what everybody would have to go through, we'll see. Because that seems to be what the case is that they're waiting for, a fiscal year issue to come up, right? So if that's the case, then that's what it is, right? It isn't a case right now that any of these 2 players have said they want to go elsewhere, right? Like Nico Williams, everybody's like, we want him, but he's basically said, I want to go to Barcelona. And we're like, we can't do anything about that, right? Mm-hmm. So Rodrigo, I think he's 50-50 in terms of whether he wants to leave or not. any more likely would just rather stay put if he gets the right message comes out of his discussion with Xavi, right? So I feel like those are ones that are going to be tough to do, especially if the player is happy to stay put, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a striking reason why I say it doesn't matter when it happens, as long as it happens, is because of the way they have supposedly a working relationship between the teams and whatnot. And when they pull the trigger, they'll pull the trigger, and when we move on to the next, are we saying we think Berta isn't working on other parts of the team? I believe he is, So, and I think it's just a matter of when we get the information. I don't think Arsenal at least is leaking anything. That's what so we don't know what they're doing until they've done it, right? Did anybody think we were looking at Kepa? No. All right. The Zubimendi thing's been going on a long time. It sounds like it's something that Berta was okay with because they've kind of continued on with it. I believe everybody said Berta would be the perfect person to come in and do the job. We'll find out if Arsenal will let him do his job. All right. Will we find out in this one window? I'm not sure, but we should see some of his fingerprints all over the place on whatever's going on in this window at the end of the day. And that's kind of what I'm looking. That's what I expect to see. All right. So we're going to see it today. Maybe not today, but we should see it by the end of this window.
The current indictment on Berta is that Arsenal typically before Berta drug their feet in the transfer window. Berta has been here since January, and Arsenal are still dragging their feet in the transfer window. If we are serious about closing the gap on Liverpool, there is no reason why they should be signing players before we do. They're not in the Club World Cup. We're not in the Club World Cup. So that's not an excuse for them to be able to get players in using the supplemental transfer window that was 1 to 10 June. I just want to see something different because I've seen the same. I've seen enough of the same, right? So it's like your past performance will predict your future results. And how we performed in past transfer windows has proved the future results not to be trophies, at least in the past 5 years in general, the past 3 in particular. I don't think.
Yeah, I would say the same way that you said slot, it was just a different message. Berta should be a different message going on in the way that we handle our business.
Mm-hmm.
And the little things will come out. We'll see, right? At the end of this window, if we're sitting here and looking at our window going, oh, damn, then they haven't given Berta the keys, right? They haven't given him the keys. They're not letting him drive. And it will be in the same situation. I don't think I would like to believe Berta wouldn't have taken a job where he said, you know what? We're going to handcuff you a little bit and, make sure we know if you can do the job or not kind of thing. We're going to test you out and let you go do a little preliminary process here to see if you can do your job. I don't think I don't think he would have taken that job. He's definitely gained enough respect. That's like bringing in a big manager and telling him we're not going to spend and get the players you need. You basically have wasted your time. I like to think we're not wasting our time here. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm going to be patient right now. We'll go from there. Yeah.
I also think as well, that some players might want to come to Arsenal, but some players might not want to work under Arteta as well because, of his style, the way he is with his players. There's certain players that he doesn't want in the dressing room. He doesn't like those big characters, I believe. He likes players that he can mold. And this is fundamentally a problem with our club. Everyone has to be nice. Everyone has to be, clean. And the world doesn't operate like that, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like strikers, especially strikers. Some of the best strikers had the biggest attitudes. Look at Thierry Henry when he was a striker. He was arrogant. Do you know what I mean? Obviously a lovely guy as well, but he knew he had the ability. He knew what he can do. With us, we're always looking at the clean. Look at the young player. Look at Sesko. He's going to come in and maybe lead the line in the future. We're always looking at tomorrow and not thinking about today. And this is what's frustrating about this club as well. It's that we always have to wait. Be patient, everyone. Wait next month, wait till the end of the transfer window. so we can bring in, you know, players. I don't want players that don't want to play for Arsenal, by the way. So this Rodrigo guy, yeah, like wanting reassurances and all that from Alonso, it looks like we're just going to be like, if he doesn't get his reassurance, then you know what, we're in with a chance. So we're just waiting. I don't want to wait for him. I want to go to the next person. Who's the next left winger that we can get? I'm not naming no names, but there's got to be options out there that, you know what, Berta hopefully is talking to other options as well. And yes, Gary's right, is that a lot of the business is done behind doors, isn't it? So we're not going to know a lot of stuff what's going on. But you know what? I tell you what will lift all of us right now is if we saw breaking news, here we go, Bomber, we signed someone. I think, you know what? Once we know that we've got that one player, then we know that we're working on other players, you know what I'm saying, at the same time as well. At the moment, there's nothing for us to feed on. There's nothing for us to get excited about. There's nothing for us to dream about. And that's the problem with us at the moment. We finished the season with a whimper. We didn't get anyone in January. So now everyone's thinking, what's it going to be? Is it going to be Watkins next month? What's it going to be? So this is where I think the fans are at the moment. We're just in limbo at the moment. We don't know what's going on with this club. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
You upset me with it. Every time somebody brings up Watkins, I'm like, stop trying. Why are you doing this to me?
But Watkins isn't a bad player.
No. The reason why I say it is because that man should have been going on vacation, leaving the Emirates Stadium after the last game of the season, knowing that he's coming back. That's why I'm upset.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been like maybe in the future. He should have been. We'll see you in a month. That's what should have happened. People say 60 mil isn't worth it for him. I'm like, we've wasted, like, because for me, I think he's maybe 40 mil, but the extra 20 mil to bring him in January, we've wasted 20 mil lots of places, but not on a 20 goal scorer, right? Not a double digit scorer in the league, right? If you told me, look, yes, he's older, we get anywhere from 2 to 4 years out of him, not necessarily as a starter for all 4 years, we're okay, right? Because like people said, there's Jonathan David out there for free if you really wanted to go see it. If there's a Delap that you could go out there and get if you're talking about a future, right? So you have options if you think he's expensive and you don't want to spend so much money on a striker. But guess what? We're not spending much on our front line anyways. We have room to spare, right? We spent so much money on our back line, to some degree, our midfield. We've brought in a goalkeeper every damn window. You can't tell me we can't tell me when we don't have. We've done a lot of things that you're like, why do we keep doing this? So for me, that's why when Watkins' name comes up, I just go, you know what? You want to fight? Let's step outside because I'm so upset that we didn't get him in January. I feel like I would have liked to have seen what happened if we brought him in January with all the games that we had to play.
Yeah.
Would we have lost to Manchester United with him in the game, right? We would have made a late challenge to Liverpool where they actually will have to stand up and actually play games, right? Would we have played that first PSG game with a striker? How we would have played then, right? We would have taken it. We would have been able to take a 1-goal lead back to Paris, right? All these little things that I think he would have given us, right? We don't lose to Aston Villa if he's playing for us, right? Right? All these little things that I think are worth the 20 mil that I think he was worth, we had to pay on top of. So that's why I kind of get a little upset when I hear Watkins' name, because I'm like, that's the risk you take. You don't get a deal on a player in January, right? Right? You don't. Somehow Liverpool City was able to bring in how many? 4 or 5 players in January, right? And not at top monies, right? And 60 mil would have gotten us the player from the PSG picked up, right? We would have been laughing with a left winger like that, right? You know what I mean? Like, so there, we needed to make, like you said, we needed to make that splash, all right? And we could have done it in January, and people would have been looking at us going, yes. Yeah. And you know what? I don't think we're doing that with Edu or with Eto, right? Maybe Berta would have made that decision, but he wasn't around. But I feel like, yeah, I'm with you on let's make a splash. But like I said, I'm willing to see what Berta is allowed to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I wanted to ask the big man something. I wanted to ask you both something. Yeah, with Gabriel Jesus still here on the books, do you think we're a bit reluctant to go in for a striker right now?
I think we're reluctant to go in on a striker regardless of Jesus. I think Arteta is reluctant to go in for a striker because of Havertz. That's his guy. This is
one player. That's just
yeah. This is my problem with this guy, bro. This is my okay. Here's a perfect example, Abs. Here's a perfect example. Arteta is known as a like-for-like sub manager, a like-for-like merchant. He'll take out Timber, he'll bring in Ben White. He'll take off Martinelli, bring on Trossard, or vice versa. He'll take off Partey, bring on Jorginho, right? And as soon as damn Kai Havertz gets fit, he takes off Bukayo Saka, who's our right winger. You know who he brings on? Not all of a sudden, he's not a like-for-like merchant anymore. He brings on Kai Havertz when Ethan Nwaneri is on the pitch, or is on the bench. He brings on.
But he's not like for like. He's Havertz.
That's what I'm saying. He breaks his own rules for the players that he loves. He actually believes that if Kai Havertz was fit, we'd probably beat PSG or win the Champions League. Meanwhile, we had him for all of last season when he was completely fit and only 11 goals. This is my problem with him, man. Like when anyone accuses me of having an agenda against Kai Havertz, I plead guilty. I don't want him at my club. He is terrible. Bro, I lived in Germany. I played Germany in third division football with guys with more tech than him. He's always on the ground, just rolling up. Right. He comes on against Newcastle, almost cost us the game. He gives the damn a free kick away to Tonali. You remember that?
Yeah.
Arteta is in the press conference just raving on, oh, he's transformed his body. You should see him. Again, August 16th, he will be leading the line out for our football club. That's why we're signing Sesko. That's why we're not signing a striker that can challenge Havertz. Because Gyökeres does that. Sesko doesn't.
Well, that's what, like I said, that's where Berta needs to step in here and go. You know, Arteta step back a little bit. That's the only way that this thing works is if somebody with a little bit more authority steps in and does this. Like Jesus, he is a liability. He's not available, so that should be like. I know we're spending a lot of money on him, but we're not gonna get that money back, right? And we need to move on. He's hurt one knee and then hurts the other knee. It's just, it doesn't sound like it's going to work, right? It doesn't sound like it's going to work. At some point, you just got to say, we're going to have to take the L on this one, you know, because when he's healthy, we've seen what he can do for us. He does what Arteta wants, but he's not been healthy, so we need to move on. And if you're looking at your strike, you're saying like for like, those two are not like for like, right? That's why when one starts, the other one doesn't get any minutes, and he like you said, he has to play favorites. So which one does he like the most? Not necessarily who's the better for us, because Jesus playing for us is the better forward, not striker, right? The way that we play, but we need that left wing to help him. And you saw that with Gabriel, you saw that with Martinelli when both of them were healthy and running a couple of years ago. It looked good, changed, no problems, right? We saw some good things coming out of the way we were playing. Jesus injured, not helping, and then Martinelli doesn't know how to play with anybody else, right? So now Jesus, I think we needed to move on from him. Like the first injury, the second, like he has, I think it's been 3 seasons now. He's not been able to make it through half a season yet with us for like 3 seasons now, right? He's either so I think those are I think that's just bad luck. What they wanted to get out of him, what we got out of him is not, I don't think there's anything we've done. It's just his legs ain't working. So yeah.
I was gonna say if it walks like a duck, looks like it. If it's yellow and it quacks, goddamn it, it's a duck. We've seen enough of Arteta. We've seen enough. Gary talks about we need to overperform. I don't trust him to overperform, even if our players overperform their level and City players overperform to their level. And the Liverpool
we have to clone Saka because he's the only one that's got that gene. That gene that no matter what Arteta tells him to do, he's going to make it look good, right? Because that's what he does. He seems to be the only player that can do it consistently. Rice to some degree definitely does it. Our back line, he's defensively sound. Arteta is, right? He can work with anybody on our defense. We've seen it, right? Kyrgios comes in. We're like you look at it and you're like, he looks better than Saliba at the end of the season, which he probably does because he's fresh. Yet we had never played him, and that's on Arteta not playing him. To maybe Gabriel doesn't get hurt if you're playing Kiri or at his a position he works. So the man management for Arteta. Yeah, I guess I talk out of both sides of my mouth because I want to give him time, but I know he's not there yet. All right, and I want so if they're not, like I said, this is where it comes back to the management. Are they going to make that decision? Because that's the only one that can. Arteta's not going to turn. He's not going to leave. Right. So, and this is when you come back to the ownership. What do they see? Are they happy with what they're seeing? They didn't go out there and get the best young manager when they brought Arteta in, like they've done with all their other franchises. They went out there and got sound managers or sound coaches and brought in like the next best thing. They didn't do that with Arteta, and they didn't back him up enough. I know some people say he got 32 players that brought in. They took risks all over the place, and that's because they didn't have the right people working the recruitment for them, working the transfers for them, right? So once again, he doesn't have the best support there. So, and he needs it if he's going to be their guy. He needs it. I mean, that's why I'm saying there needs to, like, we're looking at one cog, but there's multiple cogs here not working at the way they should. The ownership needs to be a lot more involved in terms of whether or not Arteta is the man. Yeah. The transfer business needs to be better. We hopefully will see that with Berta, right?
Yeah,
because that's the key to this thing as well. So
yeah, I hear it. Now, Aaron says 17 days has been enough for Liverpool and City. Our rivals signed 8 to 9 players between them. Meanwhile, we're linked with Kepa. Here's the thing. One of the reasons why I believe doing your business early sends the right message and it's the right thing to do. It shows that you know what your problems are, or the holes are in your team. The fact that we're 5 years into Arteta and in phase 12, and we're still deciding what is the next piece, is like an indication that we don't know what we're doing. That it's failed. That you're still looking at. Liverpool knew exactly what they need. Oh, right back leaves Frimpong. We're not going to depend on Mo Salah to give us creativity at that level because he's 32 going on 33. What do? We go get the most creative player on the market, right? Man City know they have ran Rodri into the ground over the past 3 seasons. What do? They go get Reinders, the grinder from the Serie A, to put in that midfield with him and give Rodri a rest. And let's be clear, like 80%, 85% Rodri is better than most midfielders in this Premier League. That's what we're competing with. But we're linked with goalkeepers. You know what I mean? It's just so bad. They're just making us look bad. Like, we're the ones who have to walk around and answer for these crimes against football, not them.
Well, I like I said, I guess I'm on the pro Arsenal, top Arsenal, whatever you guys call it. But maybe that's what they want. You know what? The rivals want you to feel that way. You're just feeding their fire, right? When we say these things as Arsenal fans, right?
But they can't feel that way if we win, Gary.
No. Yeah, well, but we're in preseason mode right here. So the only thing we can do, like you said, is bring in players. But maybe that's what they're working on, right? I like to believe that's what they're working on, right? I believe they're working on this, and we'll see. And like I said, we'll see in July when all that happens, because when the dust clears, we should be having a legitimate set of players coming in. All right, or else, yes, we're not doing our job, and then somebody needs to pay. And that's if, say, you bring Berta in and we're still where we are, then this goes up to the ownership again. This isn't an Arteta issue. It never was. Yeah, at some point you have to look past that, right? Yeah, and as you said, the city moves and stuff like we're not City, so we can't move like them. Not too many teams are moving like them. All right, not too many teams are moving like that. So, and they've got more money than everybody. They've just been doing this for like the last 10, 15 years, but they got more money and clout than anybody. So, how does that work? I don't know. But so I don't like comparing ourselves to City because we don't move. Nobody moves like that, right? Nobody can be patient like a Real Madrid in terms of how they do their business either. Right, so I think there's teams that we just don't move like Chelsea. We can't move like that either. So We got to try to move
Why
closer to
can't
what.
we move like
No, so
these?
the thing
Because
with
we
me,
don't. Because we don't have.
We don't.
We don't have that either. There's some sort of financial thing we don't have, right? Like 99% of the teams don't have that kind of level of financial support that they have, right? However they're doing it, I don't know. If they're cheating, I
We
don't
paid
know.
100 million for Rice last
Yeah,
2 seasons.
but nobody does that every other year. I mean, except for Chelsea, and we know what they're doing. We're not selling hotels and selling our women's team and all these things. That's not what we do, right? I know that's what you want us to do, but that's not what we're doing, right?
So
I
Gary,
believe we can buy.
Like I said, they're moving different. They're moving different to us. So for us to expect us to do the same things as what a Chelsea does, I think would be, you're gonna be disappointed because we don't move like that. All right.
Yeah, I know.
so you see what you said there about patience, Gary. Like patience, or they're not patient. Patient. I don't normally get triggered, but that word. Listen, the patient word triggers me. If you ask a fan base that's waited 21 years for a league title to be more patient, you should get slapped. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I know. I hear you. I don't know how. When I hear, like I said, that's why I hear you. I probably deserve this slap, but I'm okay.
But Real Madrid, they have to move that way because their fan base is not patient. That's why they can't move like that. I think we're too patient. That's why we get taken the mickey out of. Yeah. We're too nice.
No,
Real Madrid, they know they can't move that way. They know they can't. 5 years. Nah, bro. Like Carlo was forced out the door winning the Super Cup this year. But the fact that they went into the season, none of the domestic cups got fist up by Arsenal in the Champions League. All the Clásicos, I think they lost badly too. And then they hold Carlo, who sits at the go table with Pep and Fergie. He gets pushed out the door. Xabi Alonso knows you get 1 year there. 1 year. Matter of fact, not even you start slow. This Real Madrid team starts slow behind that Barcelona team that's picking up steam right now, and he is out of there. I think we're too patient as a fan base. I'm sorry. I think we are. I think we give
we're patient because our expectation is not to win. That's why we're so patient, because no one here in this chat or in this panel thinks we're going to win the league next season. No one. So you know what? We can be patient. We can relax. You know what? Don't worry. It's another season of failure. Yeah. We can't compete with the likes of City and Liverpool. That's going to be the excuses next month. They had a better transfer window than us. But we have the opportunity now to make a difference. Yeah. It's not about next week, the week after, 3 weeks from now. It's about now. What are we doing right now? Yeah. And this is where my problem is with our club, is that, you know what? Don't be proactive. Do the nonsense of negotiating. When I'm hearing interest close to blah, 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 and I'm seeing like Man City, here we go, like Rangers, here we go, Turkey, here we go. That's a team with ambition. Our team and our fan base, yeah, and most of the club, we don't have ambition. All our ambition is wrapped up in who's got the new merch, who's going to be the content creator on YouTube. We're plugging the new merch for Arsenal, yeah, saying that then they're not sick of Arteta, because Arteta has brought us from out of the stench, out of hell, and he's done this for us. Arteta's done this for us, but he's never held accountability, is he? This is supposed to be a manager, yeah, that sacked our highest goal scorer, Aubameyang. This is supposed to be the manager that's bringing in a top boy next season, yeah? Not concentrating on bringing in goalkeepers season after season, not keeping players, yeah, that are not doing anything for us. This is ridiculous, man. I can't be sitting here, and I'm going to be 50 years old next year. Can you believe that? I've got such good skin and everything, yeah? I'm going to be hitting 50 years next year, yeah? Not anything from this club to tell me that we're going to win something, yeah? Tangible. I can't see it. I cannot see it.
So Gary, you big up to Danny, Reacts, and big up to everyone in the chat. Make sure you're subscribing to Waffle TV, BBK Sports if you're new. I see a lot of new names. Big up to Danny Reacts and DWTT. Gary, do you agree with Danny? Said fifth at best next season.
I don't believe so. Unless you're telling me we're going to get the same number of injuries we got again. I don't see that. I mean, I was saying it all last season. I was like, our defense is solid no matter what's been going on. Right? Our defense has been solid. We need to fix everything that's going up front. We'll see if we do that. And people say I can get debunked because of the salaries we're paying for these players. Does everybody believe Arteta's the one signing these players to these contracts?
Yep.
You do? Okay. I like to say I hope not, because I don't think he should be. Okay.
So Sky Sports has reported that Arteta they know on strong authority that Arteta has a heavy hand.
Iron fist.
Yeah, a heavy hand in the recruiting and the signing process. Translation: he gets the players that he wants.
Yeah,
that's why Kai Havertz was able to come through the door that quickly, because Arteta wanted him.
Yeah,
and that's why he got. That's why he gets all the Emery signings out the door. That's why Kean Tierney, our best left back at the club, couldn't touch pitch.
Yeah, for me, I thought Tierney was more of an injury concern. His availability was also a concern. I don't think he was available as much as we wanted him to be.
I think Lee Gunner has debunked that many times. He has literally pulled up like the injury report between Tierney and Partey over the time, the duration, and Tierney's injury record. He has been injured, but his injury record has been overstated for people who are defending the way Arteta treated him. I do still think a fully fit Kieran Tierney is the best left back at the club, and yes, he doesn't.
I know. I like Tierney, but at least I didn't read somebody else's message and said that's how I feel about it. That's just how when I saw what was going on, I felt like it wasn't as reliable as we would have liked him to be, and that's why they went a different direction. For me, that's so. I didn't read some Top Gooners message and say, yeah, I agree with you. This is the way I saw it. I'll say this all the time. I might not see what you see, but all I can do is talk about what I see, and it might be different. It might be wrong, but it's definitely different. It's all coming from what I see most of the time. That's how I felt about that situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to. Arteta can't be the one figuring out what the number is for these players, in my eyes, as far as contracts and stuff like that. Because I mean that $3 million for Marquinhos, for me, if that's Arteta, I'm like, no, that's not. I don't believe that's going to happen under Berta. We're not going to take a play that's free as a sign of good faith that we will continue to do business with you, and then we sell the player the next year, kind of thing. We never even get it. You never even get a couple of enough minutes out of him to make it worth our time. So, like I said, for me, it's what I saw with Kieran Tierney. I liked Kieran Tierney. I mean, we did see that he couldn't keep up with pacey players, right? Because if you recall, when he came in, I think it was against Wolves. We brought in Maitland-Niles, right, to come in to close out the game, because that little wrestler guy was just, I forget what was his name. The little stocky muscle guy on the wing was just killing them in the game, and so I know that. Adame, yeah. And we brought in Maitland-Niles, and he shut him down, and we saw it that game. So I know he had some problems with pace sometimes, and so I saw that. But I liked him. I did like Tierney. I just didn't think he was going to be able to give us the right minutes that we needed. I mean, I think we've done well with the fullbacks we brought in late. But I liked Tierney. I thought he should be our captain. But I can move on. You know what? I can move on from a player. Like, if I felt we could do better than Saka, I say go get him, right? If I felt like that's where we needed to go, The
fact that we signed Kai Havertz so rapidly and made him the highest paid player at the club before he ever kicked the ball for us tells me that someone at the club wanted him badly. That someone is Arteta, right? Now, if we finish behind Man City twice and you're to bridge the gap, and you think that Kai Havertz is that guy to bridge the gap when they got Erling Haaland, I question your judgment. I question your football acumen.
Right. Like I said, that's right now. The only thing we can hang our hat on is maybe Berta is going to be the man to actually kind of bring Arteta back from the come back here. Come back here. We're not. That's not. We're not going to go down that road. Let's go this direction. That's the only way this is going to work, right? You bring in better people. You let them work. So hopefully Berta gets to work, or else, yeah, we'll be back here complaining. We'll be back here in a month, going, yeah,
So
we've done nothing.
So you say you don't agree with Danny that we can finish 5th because of the injuries. You don't expect us to get that many injuries. I think Danny is banking on the other teams getting better. I think City gets better. I think Chelsea gets better. I think that's the point that he's making, that the other teams that are close to us, because City had a period where they won 2 in 11 games and they finished 1 point behind us. Newcastle won more games than us last season. So it's not a matter of us getting our players back with injuries. It's the other teams around us getting better. And I don't think it was the injuries that caused us to drop 21 points from winning positions. So I think there's a genuine concern amongst the fan base that
it's twofold, right? Though
Okay.
when we drop points from winning position, it's twofold. One, usually our defense could, and in some cases our defense could hold up, right, and see out a game for us, or not have to worry about getting an extra goal. The other half to it for me was also, why don't we get that second goal? Why don't we actually go in there and try to maybe bring in some fresh legs up top and maybe get that second goal to push us ahead?
But that's the thing, we didn't have the fresh legs.
Yeah.
We didn't have the fresh legs.
We did. We didn't use it in my eyes in early in the season.
What we had,
right?
There was a point where we had what's his name on the bench? What's that young striker on the bench? Yeah,
that was late. That was late in the season. But I'm talking about in that first half of the season, we were pretty much stacked in terms of what we had, and we didn't go in there and do that. So that's why I said for me it was twofold. It wasn't only that we didn't score the extra goal, but it's also maybe our defense didn't hold up, because we made, like, if you think about it, in that we made Nunez look really good against us in Liverpool, right? He puts the cross into to Salah, right? So there are different. The way that goal was scored against Brighton, right? Gabriel's out of position or whatnot. All these little things that I think, like, it's twofold. One, we need to be able to push ahead, but also our defense towards the end wasn't as perfect as it was in years past, right? So that's how we were able to see out games as well. Because think about it, there were many a game 2 seasons ago where our defense basically just shut everybody down. They didn't get anything, not even a sniff. And we just yes, you're right. They're not and to expect that to happen consistently without making changes to it, I think is where, Arsenal went wrong. They thought they could just continue to just lean on that same thing without bringing in either new players or freshening up, those players coming off the bench. We didn't do any of that. So we had, and I think they just wore down over time defensively. And for me, offensively, that's where a lot of the pressure should be put in regards to how we didn't hold on to those leads. But I think also our defense, we weren't able to bring on the right answers on the defensive side, at least in the early part of the season, to see things out as well. So I like to say it's twofold. It's not just one issue that we had, right?
But the thing is, as well, that Arteta trusts only certain players as well. So he wasn't maximizing the squads at the beginning of the season either. So he was just leaving out players and not playing them. And then when he did look to play them, these players were out. They were outsourced. They weren't able to, to get a decent run in and put in performance. So football is about balance as well. It's not just about just one-sided. There has to be a balance when it comes to management and stuff like that as well. And you can have your first 11, but just remember, there's going to be times that there's going to be players that are not going to be available in your first 11. And there's some times where you need to bring on players, maybe just the odd 1-2 twerks or something like that. Tweaks within the team to just keep the oil, just to keep the engine running smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Introducing players into the team, that will just have that cohesion, and I've got so many things, man, to go on about this manager, because, we could have won some titles, and it's come down to his stubbornness, I just want certain players in my team. Look at when Odegaard was down. You didn't give Nwaneri enough time. I just I don't
No,
know.
I like I said, I agreed with you that when Erdogan went down that Brighton game, I go back to it because it sticks out like a sore thumb to me, and I'm like, all right, so now we get to see Nweri because he's our backup, right? Because going into the season, I'm like, who's backing him up? Oh, it's got to be Nweri because nobody else can, and we didn't see him, and I don't know, we didn't see him for what seemed like a month until Saka eventually got injured, and then we started to see him, and I'm like, that's not where I thought I would see him. So that's and for me, that's why we complain about Arteta, but I also look at the ownership and how they're managing their team. At some point, is Arteta the right person for the job? And the only person that can answer that has got to be sitting above him. So
it's a great segue, man. So before you go, I know you got to go, but before you go, AJ got one last question for you. Can we do better than Arteta and get him? No.
No, we can definitely do better than Arteta. Can we get, because we bring in any manager, I think with 10 years experience, we'll see a totally different thing, right? Mm-hmm. No, do we want to go out and get the best player with 10 years, best manager with 10 years? We should. But you bring in a manager with 10, because we've seen it. We get out coached, right, by any of those seasoned managers in the league, right? Yep. Why? Because they've seen it and done a lot of things. They've gone from League 2 to League 1 in terms of moving up, and they know a little bit about that fight, right? And they don't waste. The WTT don't waste the trip. Mm-hmm. They don't waste the trip when they have an opportunity. We see it. Think about every game we've watched. We go in there, we shut people down. We make a little mistake defensively or in the midfield. What do teams do? They jump on it. They don't. They know it's not going to happen again, right? We've played. We played Newcastle too many times to give them one opportunity and they score and we get nothing out of the game. Why? They don't waste it, right? And I think for me, that's a mentality that Arteta hasn't gotten to some of his players. Like when Havertz has that ball in the box and it's falling at his feet, that ball's got to go through the back of the net, not roll across the line.
Yeah, right.
Through the back of the net. That's not. You know what I mean? That thing's got to go. And so, no, I'm a wishy-washy on this because I think that's the way things are. I don't think things are straightforward, right? I want Arteta to do better, but if not, I want somebody else better. One of the.
But let me know what you're
gonna do.
That's the thing, though. It's not just about Arteta. We want Arsenal to do better. Everyone it's not just about Arteta. We want the team to do better.
I'm Arsenal, and whatever's good for Arsenal, I want. So if that means we're selling Saliba, Gabriel, and Saka because that makes us better, then we do it. It sounds crazy, but that's where we have to be, right? We're not no strings attached to any players or managers, or else we'll be in trouble, right? Right, we have to do what's best for Arsenal. At the end of the day, Arsenal is the numero uno on the priority list. Is what we're doing this. I did tell Tehran I'm going to have to head out of here.
Yeah, man. Gary, appreciate you coming on and making your debut. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Is this his debut?
Yeah, it's his debut. Wow. Man. I've been trying to get him on for the longest. We live in the same country, bro. You never get him on, but I was able to get him on today. So big up, man. Let the people know where they can find you, man.
Yes.
And what you got coming up. Any watch alongs and such.
Yeah, I usually I do two weekly shows. I'm usually on a watch along on another channel, but Mondays and Saturday mornings. I'm gonna go Saturday. I'm UK time, so everybody knows 3 p.m. UK time on a Saturday. I do like a little we kind of look at all the scores and talk about that on the weekends, and then on Mondays is my Arsenal show. 12:30 a.m. So that'll be Tuesday morning for you guys in the UK. I do a show pretty much talking about Arsenal. Those are the two, and then I try to jump on as many other channels as I can. But those are my channels. Type in DWTT Arsenal, and I should pop up first.
Yeah, there it is, people. Gary, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Good seeing you, Abs.
Nice one, man. Nice to see you, man.
On everybody in the chat. Have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
Got you, bro.
Big up, man. Big up.
Yeah, people. Yeah, Abs, I'm telling you, man, I feel us getting left behind, bro. I feel like we're on a in the 80s when the regular keyboard came out and the people who were comfortable with the typewriter were like, nah, I'm not getting keyboard. I'm good with my typewriter. And then 5 years later, they were obsolete. Right, I feel like the whole it's like VHS and DVDs and cassettes and CDs and it's digital and everyone is moving in the success space and we seem to be like, okay, this is our success space, and we're comfortable because there is no way we should be haggling over what we need at this part in phase 12 or 15 or wherever we are. You know, I'm so confused, bro. I'm more confused than anything.
You know, even the first week, yeah, when I was doing the patient thing, I knew deep down, yeah, that it wouldn't last with me, because if I'm not seeing anything happening, I know I'm going to start to be impatient, and that's what's happening right now. You know, everyone's calling for, not everyone, people are calling for patience, and you know what? Prove us wrong, innit? Prove me wrong and bring in a signing. Bring in a signing this week. Bring in a signing this week. Here we go, Bomber. Then I'll be happy, innit? I won't be happy, actually. I won't be happy until, I won't be happy until this manager leaves Arsenal, and then we bring in a proper manager, because you know what? I believe he's only taken us as far as he can.
I agree.
And his stubbornness to adapt, to be more flexible, is absolutely ruining us as a club. The Havertz signing, it's not his fault, but we were blinded into buying him. And this is going to be the death of Arteta. Not death physically, but the death of his career at Arsenal.
Time at Arsenal, yeah.
Having this player, him bringing this player has destroyed many a love for this club right now. Not saying no, we don't love Arsenal, but it's not the same Arsenal, man. It's not the same vibe. It's not the Arsenal that we grew up loving. It's a micromanaged Arsenal with no feelings right now. It's robotic. It's AI Arsenal, and I just want it. I just want it back. I just want the club back to having a proper manager, someone that, you know what, we look up to, that's been in the game, that's done it. That's not afraid to change it up.
Yeah, fresh set of eyes.
Not afraid to go against the grain and buy a player. You know what? I want this player today. Yeah, I know we may not get him, but let's just put in a bid.
Yeah.
Fans look at that thing. Okay, at least we made the effort.
Yeah, put in a bid for Rodrigo. Just go do it. Whether you get him or not is irrelevant. It's your job at the club.
Ask the question.
Yeah, ask the question. Make them react. Make them react, bruv. You know.
Exactly.
So it's the mad one. Yeah, I said Brandon Rogers said things. I just look at us as a cold case, bro. We're a cold case, and we need a fresh set of eyes from a new detective. You know,
100%, and it's getting stale. It's getting stale, man. It's like going into the kitchen and making a sandwich, and the bread's stale like every day. That's what it's becoming like. The taste is horrible. You know, it doesn't taste nice, and you're gonna be angry every time you're biting into that stale bread, because you know there's no freshness, there's no ideas, there's no newness, there's nothing. You know, if we get linked to someone like a Nunes, oh man, who knows? Because we've not spoken about players that we might get linked to if we don't get our targets. There could be some crazy backup players that we're linked to.
Earlier, Mr. Robo came in the chat and was like linked to Garnacho. I was like, we better not satire. I hope he's
what I mean.
I hope he's bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I am not trying to hear that. I'm back. What's new now? You missed Gary. Gary came on the show, man, and Gary was trying his best to tap into the energy, and the chat wasn't allowing it. The chat was not allowing it. Big up to Gary every single time. I stole of the club, Shanks. Yeah, bro, it's
100%, man.
But you know, dried cheese with no butter. Yeah, bro. Bro, in these United States, we have with this restaurant called Hardee's, bro. They make these biscuits, bro. If you don't have a glass of water right next to you, do not try to attempt to eat one of these biscuits, bro.
Wow,
because you will choke and die. You know what I'm saying?
It's what we do here as well. You know, we've got crackers, we've got something called crackers. and like people do challenges where you can eat crackers, loads of crackers or something like that, yeah. But you're just constantly chewing on the crackers because they're so dry as well.
Yeah, that's a mad one. But bro, we're 5 minutes away from kickoff in Dortmund. You doing a watch along for Dortmund? And
I'm doing a watch along, so I need to get moving, man. I'm at work. I'm doing a watch along. You know how we do, people. So yeah, I need to get there.
I gotta ask a favor of you, a request, my brother.
Oh, live on chat, live on
live on chat, live on chat. Because
I can't say no, then can I?
No, why? Now you can't say no. You can't, because why not alluded to it earlier? Because I had made a thumbnail to discuss other things, but you do what the chat wants. Yeah, and the chat wanted to discuss certain things, so I do what the chat wants.
Yeah,
I'm asking permission to use your chat.
Oh, no, it's a striker thing.
No, yeah, for my thumbnail.
Yeah, take it, man. Take it, man.
Cool. Yeah, man. But yeah, you heard it, people. Waffle TV, Dortmund versus Fluminense. Yeah, should be a good one.
You should be redirecting to my channel. That's what you should be doing.
Matter of fact, you showed me how to do that. So, you go set that up, and
let me go and set that up. Yeah, I'm gone now. People, excellent. Love you. Chat. Big up to you all the time. Big up to everyone. I'm out. Yeah. Big up, BBK.
All right, I had started a couple of questions. I started a couple of comments up here because it was just way too many. So big up to the chat for being legendary today. But there was this AJ had said, I would say it again, trade Odegaard for Eze, we get so much better. This one is such a weird one for me, right? Because Arteta is on record, or gives off the impression that he loves versatile players, versatile attackers. There are not many midfielders in the Premier League that's more versatile than Eze. He is so versatile. Right? He can play central, he can play left 8, he can play on the wing. I think he improves us with or without Odegaard in the squad. I completely agree. With that. Odegaard for Eze, or Odegaard and Eze, but get Eze in the squad. He massively improves us, gives us quality cover in so many positions that, I'm of the impression that's what Arteta says that he likes. I had, Box Gun. This was one of the ones that I had started to press Gary with. Players are crying for new direction, new leadership, fresh ideas. I've said it many times. I still think to this day, Jurgen Klopp is a better manager than Arne Slot. He is. But I just think Klopp knew he took this team as far as he could take them. They needed a new voice. And bang, new voice, the biggest signing of the summer. Did I start this one of our club? We have zero chance of winning the league. City will blow us out the water. And I completely agree, Rich. I think that they're looking past us. They are talking to one another. As if we're not even in the room. This one, LFC Monster. He was asking LFC Monster, what do you reckon? Third 90 million plus for Darwin Núñez for Isak. Curtains. Liverpool signed Isak with Mo Salah still there. And Verts. My God. Look out, league. They might do an invincible. That would be crazy. And this is one of the ones that I really appreciated from Aaron. In a couple of weeks, another club could be in for both of them. Yeah. And then we go into panic mode. And then when you go into panic mode, what do? Overpaying for shit. Signing players that you don't need. Madness. Absolute madness is what we'll end up doing. We just can't get over shooting ourselves in the foot, Arsenal Football Club, man, will be the death of me. Will be the absolute death of me. But, what can we do? We love our club, and we will continue to support them in whatever that they do. Yeah? But let me go through these last bits of comments here, and we'll see what we got. Arista said, BBK, I'm leaning Havertz. I'm loaning in Havertz from Waffle TV. That's in national terms. For those in the UK, the match is on terrestrial channel 5. All right, got it. Yeah, man, big up Mr. Battle Red, man. Appreciate you guys checking in. AJ Byatt, I had Arteta in tell me I have no No, right, Jude. Oh, no, right, because I go to Arsenal ladies games. Man, another classic moving the goalpost, isn't it? It's just a mad one. Yeah, I watch on this app as well. They stream. Sometimes it's hit or miss. A lot of tennis and golf on this channel as well. That Dortmund CEO was salty over Verse coming to Liverpool. I bet. The face of Germany, not playing in Germany. I can hear it. Hopefully the Bundesliga will fix up. Will fix up, people. But yeah, people, I think I did this right. I think I did this right, where Brother Abs is doing his watch along, and I think I set up the redirect right. I have no idea if I did or not, but we'll see if it works. We'll see if it works. Dang. We'll see if it works, and then I come back over here and I'll say, people, thank you for your time. Take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, we are gone.